and welcome back to another one, you guys. If you were new to the channel, my name is Andrew with Younger Nissan in Frederick, Maryland. For more information on our inventory, please feel free to check out the link in the description box below. So today we're in the brand new 2026 Nissan Frontier because this is the Pro-4X trim level, so I'm pretty excited. We're going to take this one out today. Old school naturally aspirated V6. I personally love that. You got heavy duty off-road step rails as well, all-terrain tires, and so ultimately in this video we will be testing out and going over everything about this one. So having said that, what do you guys say? Let's just go ahead and jump right into it. And as always, let's start with pricing. And so there are a couple different configurations for the Nissan Frontier Pro-4X. You got the short bed starting at $41,870. Then you got the long bed starting at $42,370. But regardless of the configuration you go with, the power plant on this one is going to be the same. Powering the beast is a 3.8 liter naturally aspirated V6, puts out 310 horsepower at 6,400 RPM, 281 pound-feet of torque coming in at 4,400 RPM. That power being sent to all four wheels through a 9-speed automatic. 0 to 60 time, if you're curious, approximately 7.3 seconds there, with MPG numbers coming in at 16 in the city, 20 on the highway, taking regular unleaded fuel. And so before we do any kind of fun acceleration test here in the Frontier Pro-4X, I did want to mention to you guys the drive modes. So all of those drive mode buttons are located directly behind the shifter. There's so many of them. Drive modes include rock, sand, on-road, and mud. Then of course there's also an electronic locking rear differential as well, ultimately adjusting things like the shift points, the throttle response, and actually the traction control as well. Now having got all of that out of the way, what do you guys say? Let's go ahead and find a straightaway. Let's put the Frontier here to the test and let's see how quickly we can get this one here up to speed. In 3, 2, 1, go! Not bad. Like, this is why I love naturally aspirated engines. There wasn't any massive turbo lag or delay when you initially hit the gas. That naturally aspirated engines just overall are known to be more reliable than the turbocharged counterparts. So I'm a big fan of this engine, and I'm sure it's probably pretty darn reliable at this point as well, because Nissan's been using it, I feel like, forever. So yeah, that acceleration is definitely more than enough to merge you onto any highway here in the US. But anyways, to go along with that acceleration, as always, braking is equally important. And so up front you will find 11.7-inch ventilated front discs. In the back, 11.3-inch solid rear discs. As far as that 6-0 stopping distance goes, that comes in at a very respectable 120 feet. That's a brilliant number, guys. As far as braking feel goes, it's fine. It's maybe a little bit on the softer side, believe it or not. Not a super firm braking feel, but that 120-foot number, typically once you get into the 1-teens, you're at sports sedan territory. So 120 feet, that's really respectable. I love that. But then touching on suspension and handling, up front you're going to get an independent double wishbone type front suspension. In the back, rigid axle leaf rear suspension, front and rear stabilizer bars. Overall, as far as ride quality goes, it pretty much rides like a truck. If you've ever driven any pickup truck in the world before, that is what this ride's like, so no surprises there. As far as steering feel goes, that's always the first thing I always notice whenever I start driving a Frontier. It's weighted 100% on the heavy side of things, which I personally love. So it's not like an SUV at all. SUVs are typically loosey-goosey. This thing is a very heavy weighted steering feel, so it instantly points you in the direction that you want to go. Yeah, I'm definitely a big fan of the steering feel, I'll just put it that way. But then touching on cabin noise, we're going 20-something miles per hour right now, about to hit 30, so I'll be quiet here for a second. Yeah, it's fine. I don't have any issues with that. So then touching our rear visibility, looking out my rear view mirror there, I can see 100% perfectly fine out the back, so you shouldn't have any issues with that either. But that pretty much rounds out the performance segment of this review, guys. Let's now go ahead and take a look at the exterior now of our brand new 2026 Nissan Frontier Pro-4X. All right, so here she is, you guys, the new 2026 Nissan Frontier Pro-4X, finished in Boulder Gray Pearl, in case you were curious of our exact exterior color name. But as always, let's go ahead and start with where this one is made. Taking a look at the VIN, first character is the number 1, indicating that the Frontier is built and assembled here in the US, in case you were curious. But starting up front, full LED headlights with LED daytime running lights do come standard. Get the automatic feature with those. You also get automatic high beams. So if you have your high beams on at night and it senses a vehicle coming in the opposite direction, it's going to automatically dim them back to low beams. Then when that vehicle is gone, it's going to automatically bounce it back up to high beams. buttons for you there. Bottom corners there, you can find some LED fog lights. They do come standard as well. You're going to get some 3 silver accents found on the top portion of that front grille, and that is Pro-4X specific, by the way. So if you were comparing this one to other trim levels, you're only going to find those on the Pro-4X. So that's kind of cool. Red recovery hooks found in the front as well. You guys can see them. They're actually still wrapped in plastic, so that's kind of cool. This is a brand new truck, but as far as ground clearance goes, in case you were curious about that, 8.6 inches then down below. But that pretty much rounds out the front end of this one. Let's now go ahead and swing around to the side. It's some analysis. We are around to the side of the Frontier. Body colored power adjustable side mirrors do come standard. Going to get some heavy duty off-road step rails as well. They really are heavy duty. So as far as the wheel setup goes, it's 17-inch aluminum alloys, and you're going to get all-terrain tires, of course, with those, so you got to appreciate that. Then of course you got the Pro-4X badging found on the bed of the truck there as well. But that pretty much rounds out the side profile. Let's now go ahead and swing around to the back. All right, so now since we are around to the back of this one, all the way to the top, you have a center high mount stop lamp there. Frontier lettering found on the rear tailgate. You got to appreciate that. LED taillights do come standard as well. Got the Frontier lettering embossed into the rear tailgate. As far as the towing capacity goes, it's actually going to differ between the short bed and the long bed. The long bed comes in at 6,310 pounds. The short bed comes in at 6,880 pounds. In case you were curious about that, you guys can see the tow hitch back there with the connectors just by the license plate there. But just to the bottom corner there is a single exhaust outlet. It is tucked away. So having said that, I do believe you guys know what we have to do next here. As always, here is that exhaust clip. Alright, so now since we are around to the back of the Frontier here, let's go ahead and open up the rear tailgate. As far as the bed length goes, it comes in at 59.5 inches for the short bed, and then 73.3 inches for the long bed, in case you were curious about that. You actually have LED bed lighting back there. Was a big fan of that. There's a 120 volt power outlet back there. There's also a deck rail system, of course. So everything's set up pretty nicely back there. But then making our way up to the rear legroom, that comes in at 33.2 inches. For reference, I mean, even 6 feet tall. This is how much space I had in the back there. Dual rear USB charging ports do come standard. You got a 120 volt power outlet there as well. And there is a rear center armrest with cup holders back there as well, which I'm always a fan of. But then making our way up to the front seats, 8-way power driver seat does come standard. Heated front seats coming standard. Cloth seating coming standard. However, leather is going to come with the Pro Premium package. We got that with us here today. So we got the leather here. That's pretty cool. And there's orange contrast stitching. Pro-4X lettering etched into the seats as well. Overall, as far as seat comfort goes, Nissan usually does a pretty darn good job with that. So yeah, I've had no issues with the seat comfort in the Frontier. But so then making our way to the steering wheel, it is tilt and telescoping. It is leather wrapped. It actually is heated as well. Those buttons are located just in front of the shifter, but I was a big fan of the heated steering wheel because it's kind of cold out today. So yeah, once again, steering wheel is plenty fine. Then making our way to the startup, let me start by showing you guys the key here. Typical Nissan key. You got your Nissan logo all the way to the top, lock and unlock, and the circular button, of course, that is your remote start. That does come standard, so you can warm this thing up on super cold days in Western Maryland, kind of like today. But it is all keyless entry with a push button start, so all I'm going to do here is simply put my foot on the brake and press that gloss black engine start button located kind of by the driver's right knee there. And so once started up, when it comes to the gauges, I actually really like the gauges here. So this is the setup. You have 7-inch LCD gauge cluster front and center. Tachometer is all the way to your left, speedometer is on your right. But it's not just a flat black and white setup, which is typically what you find in everywhere else, basically. So you do have a little bit of that orange or red hues found on the perimeter of the gauges, which I know doesn't seem like a big deal, but when you constantly review black and white gauge clusters, even just a little splash of color makes all the difference. So I'm actually a big fan of that. There are steering wheel mounted controls found on the left side of the steering wheel to adjust what is on the digital portion of the gauges. Gives you things like speed limit recognition, outside temperature, how many miles you have left until you hit empty, whether or not you have it in 2-wheel drive or 4 high or 4 low. And by the way, in case anybody is not aware, I'm sure everybody is, but you put it in 4 high when you go off-road, and then when you get stuck, you put it in 4 low if you need it. But everywhere else, you pretty much just keep it in 2-wheel drive. But there's a digital gauge cluster up there. There's some off-road statistics. I thought those were pretty cool. Auxiliary gauges. There's how long you've been driving for, average fuel economy, radio information, information, there's a compass, and the list goes on. So tire pressure information for each individual tire as well. So that's pretty cool. So overall, I actually really like the gauges. I do not have any issues with them. So good job, Nissan. Now let's go ahead and make our way to overall interior quality. Power moonroof, again with the Pro Premium package, and that's why we got it with us here today. HomeLink controls for the Pro Premium package as well. That's for up to 3 different garage doors found on the bottom portion of that rear view mirror there. Wireless phone charger with the convenience package. I love that. That is located actually just behind the shifter. Just to the right of the shifter, by the way, that's where your cup holders are. You got a little bit of rubberized storage just in front of the shifter. Couple USB charging ports as well. I almost forgot to mention there's a sliding rear window for the rear passengers. Don't want to forget to mention that. A lot of orange accents, orange contrast stitching, orange accents on the doors there. So overall, I actually think everything looks pretty darn good. Let's see if there's any space in the center armrest. There's a ton. Probably the most space in the world in the center armrest there. That's a ton of space. I'm being serious. Like, more so than I'm typically used to seeing. There's an overhead sunglass holder up here as well. Let's see if the lighting is LED. It looks like it is, so I like that. And you got this bulky Frontier lettering front and center too, so big fan of that. So I actually like it. Yet again, let's go ahead and make our way to the infotainment screen now. What you guys are looking at is a 12.3-inch infotainment screen. You get Bluetooth and audio streaming with that. Android Auto, Apple CarPlay, which by the way is wireless. That's pretty cool. Factory navigation system is going to come with that Pro Premium package. And of course, you can check out your radio information up there as well. So when it comes to the sound system, it is a 6-speaker sound system. So what do you guys say? Let's go ahead and turn on the radio. Let's see what we got playing this morning, and let's test out the clarity of this one. Nope, that's not a 6-speaker sound system. What the heck do we have? Give me a second. So the Pro Premium package actually gives you a 10-speaker Fender sound system. So that's why the bass was so intense. I was like, nah, there's a subwoofer in here. That is crazy good. Like really, really, really good sound system. I love that. The Fender sound system, 100% worth it. And the Frontier Pro-4X, that was good, man. That was Christian radio. There usually isn't that much bass. That was awesome. I love it. Last thing I wanted to mention to you guys on that infotainment screen though is when you do put the Frontier in reverse, you will find a rear view camera coming standard across the board. You also get that surround view monitor if you go with the convenience package. That gives you that bird's eye view, letting you know who or what is all around you, which is always is going to lead us into safety. And so the 2026 model year has not yet been rated by IIHS. It's typically what I like to mention first. So do your own research on that one. Front side curtain airbags do come standard. Driver and passenger knee airbags up front as well. In the back, you got latch, aka lower anchors of tethers for children for the rear car seats, rear child door locks, tire pressure monitoring system, but also coming standard. This is the fun stuff. Automatic emergency braking with pedestrian detection, reverse automatic braking, a blind spot warning system, lane departure warning, driver attention monitoring system, adaptive cruise control, and rear parking sensors actually come standard as well. So overall, when it comes to my final thoughts, first and foremost, I love the naturally aspirated V6. Thank you so much, Nissan, for keeping that naturally aspirated V6, because you guys know all the competition basically is all turbocharged 4 cylinders at this point. So Tacoma. So I love the V6. That's just me. I absolutely do. Very off-road capable as well, especially in that 4 high. I don't have enough snow to truly give it a test like I did with the Tacoma not too long ago, but just take my word for it. I know it's off-road capable. You got the all-terrain tires as well. That's about it for this one, you guys. Thank you so much for watching. Feel free to follow me on social media stuff at the bottom of the screen if you want to see what's coming next on the channel before it gets to YouTube. Be sure to hit the subscribe and the bell notification button. Do appreciate you guys watching more than you know, and I will see you guys all in the next video.